Yeah, today I don't have too strict of an agenda. The one thing I wanted to talk about, I saw some people mentioning this in chat too, is like the account linking stuff. So my big thing I've been working on this week is just more like V2 account stuff for the game, and so I finally got account linking working on like the V2 account side. Um, and so I just wanted to kind of go over how that works, and then just get people's opinions on like could it be improved, or is it misleading, or like if people have been running into problems. Just yeah, kind of I want it to be as hopefully foolproof as possible, because if people link their account in the wrong way, or they accidentally keep the wrong account and blow away the account they wanted to keep, then it's like then I have to help them try to put the pieces back together and stuff. So it's definitely in my interest to have that stuff work well. Uh, but anyway, so basically the new account linking, not now. If for anyone who's not familiar, like account linking has been in the game for years, where basically, if you have someone logged in with like a device account and another person logged in with like a Google Play account, you can link those accounts together so that they share data. So you can, sign in with either method and then share your progress. And it's traditionally worked through these buttons in the game here. So there's a link accounts button where you generate a code on one thing and then enter the code on the other thing. And then yeah, so that's basically how traditionally link accounts. But now in the new V2 world, there is a new different way to do it. So it happens through the website instead. So I'm going to sign out of this V1 account I got here. Sign in with my V2 account. So normally if you're running on an Android, you'd probably use Google Play to sign in, so you wouldn't have to do the website thing. But anyway, so nowadays there's no more linking available from the game. You have to use the website for it. So you just do manage account, and it'll kick you over to your account settings here, and then you'll see under logins, this shows you like all the ways that you can. This shows you all the ways that you can log into your account. Like right now for this particular account, it's just email, password. That's my email address. So I use that and a password to log in or to sign in. But what you can do is if you have like a second account and you want to move one of the logins from that account over to this one, you can just do it here with the manage logins button. So, and this is the part where I want to like get people's opinion on like, does this make sense or should this be improved or whatever. Basically the way this works is, this login, like my email login, if I want to move this to a different account, I generate a code for it here, and then I go to the other account that I want to add it to, and then I apply the code there. So I'll try to do a quick example of this. I have my Android test device here, so I'll see if I can link that Google Play account to this account. One moment. So for that, I need to spin up. I always forget the name of this thing, so I made a bookmark for it, which is oh, I thought I did. Where did it go? Oh yeah, SCRCPY. If this works. Aha, okay. Here we got Android Nexus test phone. So, opinion on frosty colored DDS. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful texture. Okay, continuous eFro testing. Okay, so here I'm signed in with Google Play as eFro testing 1. So here's my other account. So if I want to like link these two, so if I want to be able to sign into the same account on my Android device as I am like on my Mac here, basically you can see I have two different V2 accounts. So these are both unique names, like globally unique names. There's only one eFro, there's only one eFro testing. That's like the upside of the V2 account stuff. But let's say I want this device to just log into the eFro account. So what I can do manage accounts here. This will take me to account settings here. You can see that this is, oh, on a side note, I maybe I'll get to this later, but I also made this little shortcut where if you have a Google Play account, you can just add an email password to it. If you want to be able to like log in using an email and a password for like on the website or on like a non-Android device, you don't have to mess with linking in that case. You can just use this little link. But you can do the same thing. Basically, this is just a shortcut to like link it for you. It basically creates a new email password login and then links it to your account. But anyway, I'm going to do it manually. So you can see like on the Android device here, this is my Google Play Games login. And over on my other account here, this is my email password login. So if I do manage accounts. So basically, I just want to go on my Android device and point Google Play Games to my eFro account. So to do that, I generate a link code on the Android device. And then I go to eFro, which is where I want to put the thing. So he says, to move other logins to this account, generate link codes for them and apply the codes here. So we want to move this guy over to eFro. So E6YB-7K 61A-244ZA. Okay, and this, please read this, because when you're moving a login from one account to another, the old account gets completely, there's no logins left on it. There's no way to access it anymore, so it gets completely blown away. So make sure to read this warning here. So warning, eFro-testin is this account. eFro-testin is going to get deleted. So make sure you read this. Make sure you're not blowing away the account that you've spent 5 years building up tickets for. So if I confirm link, okay, now eFro has 2 ways to access it, and this should, not signed in because this account doesn't exist anymore. So if I go back to the game, it should kick me out, because that account is destroyed. But now if I do sign in with Google Play, it's going to link me to this account. Boom, there we go. So now I'm eFro. So I hope that made sense, where basically if you want to, this is a little different before. Before it was more like you would just merge 2 accounts, and in some cases it would like add your stuff together. But you can kind of think of this differently. Like you have logins, these are logins, and you have accounts. An account is like eFro. It's like a unique name with all your progress. And you can just like point your logins at different accounts. So that's basically what you're doing when you're relinking things. So what I did is my Google Play login, I just pointed that at eFro. So I hope that makes sense. And real quickly, I'll just show you the other way. Let me undo what I just did. Oh, and then if you want, you can unlink accounts too. And this basically, what unlinking does is it takes this login and just like deletes it. So this login is no longer associated with any account. And if you log in with it again, it'll just like create a fresh new account. So, be careful also when you're unlinking stuff. You always want to leave at least, it won't actually let you unlink all of your logins. Like each account has to have 1 login left. But just be aware that like if you unlink your Google Play Games login and then you sign in again with Google Play Games, you're going to get like a completely empty account because it's pointing to nothing. And it'll like, you can still use it. You can still log in with it, but then it'll have to create a new account for you. So I'll show you how that works here. So Google Play Games, eFro-testing. I'm going to unlink this from eFro. Again, there's a warning, So always read the warnings if you can. So see, I just unlinked that, and it also instantly kicked me out here because the Google Play Games login is no longer pointing to that. And okay, so then now I sign in with Google Play again, and you can see it actually, because this name was no longer reserved because it blew away the old account, it gave me the same name again. So that's good. But then, the other shortcut that I wanted to show you, or kind of trick that I added last night, is if you're signed in with Google Play Games, you go to, on your Android device, you go to Manage Account, and you can see your login, the one type login you have is Google Play Games. So if you want to add an email password login, you could do what I just did, where you have 2 different accounts and you like link one of the logins to the other account. But you can also just use this little set email password shortcut here. So let's see. I think I will have to, I don't have any free email addresses. I'm trying to think. Actually, one moment. I'm going to delete one of my test accounts, and then I'm going to just like add that email to this account. So pay no attention to what I'm doing for just a moment. This is my little secondary test account that I always use to just like test deleting it and stuff like that. So delete account. Yes, delete. Okay. That email address is now no longer in use. So here I'm going to create a login, adding it to this account. So ericfromling@icloud.com. Little dummy test password. Verification email. That should pop up here momentarily. You can see all my Google Cloud alerts from my warnings I have on the master server and things like that I still need to fix. Activate my account. Confirming. Okay. All right, so I added that login. And now you can see, like, after that, now I have 2 logins. So I can log in using an email and password, or I can log in with Google Play Games. So that's, again, most people playing the game right now have Google Play logins. So that, like, if you do want an email password attached, like, that's probably the easiest way to do it. But just to show you both ways, like, you can unlink and relink or whatever. And so yeah, so I hope that made sense. So I'm curious to see what people think. All right. After that, it shows you progress with account name and asks which data you want to keep. That's a decent idea. So so instead of, yeah, so it would basically give you, yeah, I'd have to think about that a little bit. The one, actually the one downside right now is that you can't, like, if you have, like, I'm adding some limitations to account linking. Like, you can only have one email address associated with each account. So, so like, if you had one account that had an email address and a Google Play login, and another account that just had an email address, like, it would completely prevent you from linking those, you know? So it's like, or we'd need some complicated thing, like, which email address do you want to keep, and which, I mean, I guess it could be doable. Maybe I should give that some thought. But yeah, right now it's, you just move individual logins over. So like, if you just, you move your Google Play login to a different account or whatever. But yeah, that is worth some thought. Like, especially if that's confusing to people. If it's confusing, like, which account gets deleted or which account gets left behind. And then this other, like, the other thing I should mention is, like, some of you were mentioning, like, you had things linked already, and like in the old way of linking them, like the V1 linking, that kind of complicates this. And what I'm planning to do, like, I want to provide a way to unlink stuff that way. So I'm gonna sign back in with my V2 account here. So even though, like, you can't link and unlink stuff here, what I plan to do in the next update is I plan to expose, like, the unlink button here, so that if you have old links, like old V1 links, it will kind of encourage you. I'll put a little, like, warning or something here saying, like, please unlink these, because I want to encourage people to, like, get rid of V1 account links, because they just make things confusing because they don't link the V2 parts of your account. It'll share, like, your V1 data, but then each account will have different V2 data, and that's super confusing. So things will work best if people can just completely get rid of the old V1 links and then do everything through V2 links. So yeah, right now I mean, I could try to explain the situation, like, if you have some V1 links and then you sign in with a V2 link, it's like, you have multiple logins pointing at this, old V1 data, but then you have a login that points at V2 data. Yeah, I'd probably have to draw a diagram of what's actually happening there. But to make it simple, again, we should try to get people, whenever possible, to get rid of their old V1 links and then just rely on the V2 linking stuff. So yeah, it's confusing and scary. So just the one thing to know though, everything does have a warning message. I can at least make those warning messages more clear, like maybe show you like, hey, if you delete this account, you will lose this many tickets, or like this is the progress your account has. If you press this confirm button, it will go away. So yeah, like everything at least has, don't be too afraid of pressing any of these buttons because they all have like a confirm screen. So, well, this one it won't let me. Can't unlink. Must have at least one login. But, or things should error in broken cases. So like if I try to take a login that's already in this account and link it into this account, it'll say like, oh, already linked to that account. So yeah, just like be very sure like which account it is you want to keep, at least for right now. Hopefully I can make this, easier to understand or more difficult to mess up. But, be very cognizant of like the name of the account, like the tag on the account that you want to keep and the one that you want to get rid of. So just to make sure you're doing it right. A CAPTCHA? I mean, that's a possibility. In general, I should maybe come up with CAPTCHAs for, at least for like maybe creating email password accounts or something. I'm curious like how, if there'll be a lot of, exploits, things like auto-generating accounts and stuff. I'm sure a CAPTCHA would help that. So yeah, that's probably something I should look into. And then once I have like a CAPTCHA wired up, then we could plug that into like different places just to make sure that people are, real people doing things. What's this? It never ends. But yeah, I want to, that's another thing I want to at least like make a note of in here where it lets you like unlink V1 stuff, that some people might want to keep them because as I mentioned, there are some more rules for V2 linking. Like you can only have one login of each type, like one email associated with your account and one Google Play associated with your account. Because going forward, I want account linking to be just used for like, sharing your own accounts with yourself. If you want to use an email password to log into like the PC version and you want to use Google Play to log into the Android version, stuff like that. But what a lot of people wound up doing for V1 linking is, they just wind up linking a bunch of device accounts together and, so all your friends could like contribute to the same, high scores and whatever, which, it is what it is. It worked out. And, but I don't want to, I'll try to make it clear to people that that's not an option on the V2 linking. So if some people want to keep their V1 linking for now, just because they have that kind of setup, I don't want to like force them out of that yet, at least until, maybe like device accounts go away or something like that. So, but yeah, people have used that as kind of a means of ticket grinding and, it's the state of the world. So I don't want to break everything for a lot of people. But also at some point, as we're going into the squad stuff, like the coming up, like the squad stuff planned for 1.9 or I hope to maybe get started on that sooner, as I was mentioning last week. But that'll have probably some like strict limits to where if you're signed into like a squads game using your account and then someone else signs in with your account, it'll probably like give a choice about like, hey, do you want to kick this person off or basically it'll like force only one of you to be online at the same time. So, two people playing with squads mode will have to have two different accounts. Maybe we can do like a guest account or some easy way for people to play if that becomes a problem. But, I want to encourage people to not link with their friends because that won't work. If you want to play with your friend and you're both using the same account, like that won't let you once we get squad stuff going. So even though it works for like ticket grinding and V1 stuff, I kind of want to like gently steer people away from that. And that's why there's the limits on linking with the V2 stuff. So anyway, yeah, people. Long story long. Uh, some people might want to keep their V1 links for that reason, even though they're confusing now with all the V2 stuff. So device accounts, and I'm still not 100% sure that they should go away. Like part of me thinks that they should still be available, just like limited. Um, but the major thing is that they've just led to so many people losing their accounts and like emailing me to ask like how to get their account back, and like, oh, I had to restore my Android device and my device account is gone and stuff like that. Because it's just based on like some like hardware, or not hardware, but like some unique identifier that Android provides or that the OS provides. As you probably all know, on the PC version, it just like generates a file with a unique identifier, and that was not intended to be permanent, but I can't really change it now because it would break everyone's account. But anyway, yeah, it's very easy for that stuff to either get stolen, or like if you reinstall Android or something, that number changes and then your account is gone. So it's like the upside. Like the reason I did that is so that it would be easy for people to just like pick up the game and just start playing and not worry about making an account. But it just seems that yeah, it's caused so many problems that I feel like the better solution is to like encourage people just to set up a proper email password account that'll never go away. And also more so is like if you look at the number of people, like the stats, like most people playing are playing with like Google Play games, things like that, where it's like automatically just signs you in. So in that case, it's like they won't lose their progress anyway if they restore their phone. So that's largely it. It's just like I don't want people to like lose their progress, and I hope it's not too much friction to create a email password account. And there is like I'm still kicking that idea around of like should there be some sort of very limited device account functionality or something, like maybe it forces you to upgrade it to a proper account like within some time period or something, or who knows. Also, I want to another thing I want to think about is making enough of the game work without accounts to be useful. So right now, like if you completely sign out of the game, there's still some stuff you can do. Like you can still play basic games. There's some stuff that's not available, like you can't create like player profiles and things like that. Yeah, you can't like unlock things. So there's part of me that wonders like maybe there should just be like a limited or like a very limited account that where you could at least like create player profiles and get tickets and unlock stuff, but you couldn't like play online or something like that. So maybe device accounts could stay around, but they would just be limited to that purpose or something like that, and then it would just like constantly nag you to upgrade it. So that's an idea. So if any of you have opinions on that, like I'd love to hear them. Like would you prefer device accounts to stay around and just be limited, like it wouldn't let you play squads mode or wouldn't let you play tournaments or something like that? Like should we just keep them around as like a very limited sort of account, or should we try to make the game just work without accounts? There could just be like basically this could be the device account. Like when you're not signed in, it could be just like under the hood, like using a device account or something. Also, that leads into another thing is at some point I want to make the game completely buildable. I've mentioned this before, like completely buildable without any of the internal stuff. So right now, if you go into the GitHub and you compile the game, there's there's the internal library, which is kind of like closed source parts that I pre-compile, and then it'll just like download and use that when it's building the game. And that's all of the stuff like account communication and talking to the account server and things like that. But I'd like for the game to work without that. So I think it'd be great if you could just build the game with no account stuff, no account functionality, like even built in, and still be able to like do stuff with it, like maybe create profiles and unlock stuff, or I don't know. So that's something to think about. Also, is thinking about like the 100% open source form of the game, like making that as usable as possible. So yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe like having device accounts, but it nags you periodically, so maybe they wouldn't go away in the near future. It would just kind of or maybe we could add some limitations like, tournaments, or, something where, something that, people probably wouldn't do immediately, but, if you want to start playing tournaments or, squads, when that stuff comes along, you'll have to upgrade your account. So that's an idea. I can give that some thought. There's other technical pieces too, where it's like, if you look at the source code, there's like V1 and V2 accounts. As I think I mentioned before, like when you sign in with a V2 account, it's actually like automatically signing you in with a V1 account. You're technically signed in with like two different accounts at once, because they both talk to like totally different servers, and they're kind of like built, they're totally different things. And so there's part of me that wants to just like migrate away from the V1 accounts, just so I don't have to like deal with that source code anymore, and like can simplify stuff. So that's a factor too, where it's like there's part of me that wants to take out like the ability to sign in with the device account, because this is like, when you poke this, you're signing in with V1 and V2 accounts, and when you poke this, you're just signing in with a V1 account. So it's like they're kind of, or yeah, they're kind of doing different things in the code. So it adds a little bit of like maintenance to make sure that both systems work. Whereas if I just start migrating everything to V2 accounts, there's less of that. But maybe there could be like a device type V2 account or something. So it's still worth thinking about. Oh yeah, that's an idea. Like give 200 tickets for yeah, like upgrading your account to V2 or something like that. The one thing I want to be careful of is like exploitable things. As I'm sure many of you know, there's people have figured out all these exploits for V1 accounts, like the friend invites, you'll get tickets for that, and then like link your accounts and then invite another friend. It's like there's people have these like processes for just like getting all these tickets for generating fake accounts and linking them and unlinking and stuff like that. So I'm trying to have this be purely like a useful thing, like being able to like move your logins to different accounts, but not something where it's gonna give you tickets or anything like that just for linking, just because that stuff seems to get exploited a lot. So random side note. Like maybe like upgrading your account to V2 could still be like, that might be fine, as long as it doesn't like open up any linking exploits. Well, watching ads, I know. I mean, it's not really an exploit, because it's like it's good for me. It supports me if you watch ads. Um, I don't want to make I don't want to make people just like sit and watch ads all day. I feel bad about that, but it's again, I got to pay my bills, so it I can't complain too much if people are grinding ads. But all right. Limits on ads. That is largely just so. When you put ads in a game, basically you wind up getting paid based off how many like clicks, or how many times like people click on ads and interact with the ads and stuff. And so it seems like if people are sitting there just watching 100 ads in a row, it's not really benefiting anyone, because they're probably not like clicking on the ads. So it's kind of just a thing to like, at that point it is almost an exploit, because like people are just doing that to not, like ideally you should only be seeing ads that potentially you might click on or something. So basically I don't want to just have people grinding ads, or setting up a system where it would just like automatically tap on the ad and just leave their phone running all day. So just kind of I think the ad companies might kind of see that too and stuff. It's kind of like magic how they decide what you get paid, but I think it's basically based off of you showing a decent amount of ads and then some of them getting tapped on. So I just want to prevent stuff that's obviously just like watching and watching and watching for, and with no chance of ever tapping on something. I hope that makes sense. Oh, you can't hear me? Oh no. Can you hear me now? But basically what I was saying is, like, grinding ads, I don't... Oh, now fine? Okay. But yeah, I don't think grinding ads really benefits... I mean, I guess, technically it would let people make more tickets and stuff, but for me as, the game developer, like, I make money based on, like, when people tap on ads and things. So it's if people just set up like an automated thing to just view ads over and over again and like never tap on anything, it doesn't really, it's kind of wasting their time and not, adding and not making any money or anything like that. So it seems like good to have some sort of limit. How many computer languages do you know? I don't know that many. I mean, the thing with computer languages and programming is I feel like they're very similar. It's, some people think like, oh, wow, it's like learning 5 different languages to be able to speak them. But like real life languages are so complicated. And, most programming languages, it's like they're pretty, I mean, I guess some are different, but it's like once you kind of understand the concepts, it's just like different dialects, really. So I know, I learned on Pascal, actually. That's totally like dating me. But yeah, when I was in high school back in like the late 90s, I had like a Pascal class, which was, it was like the language that they used basically before C, I think. And then that class actually switched to C++ like the year after I took it or something. So I was a bit bummed. So I learned this like useless language. But I think that's the only programming class I've ever taken. Most of what I've learned has just been like on my own. I was kind of a art nerd, so I went to art school, and so I didn't have any programming classes in art school, but I taught myself like C and C++, and then Python, of course. I mean, Python is probably by far my biggest used one these days. Little bits of Objective-C working with Mac stuff. I learned Swift last year, which is kind of neat, or a few years ago. Let's see, what else have I... did Perl a bit, a long time ago. Perl is mostly dead these days. Very, very, very small amounts of like shell scripting. That stuff scares me. I'm trying to think what else is... And yeah, like a few other scripting languages. Like I did a lot of 3D stuff in Maya, if any of you are familiar with Maya, but they used to have their own like language called like MelScript. I did like a lot of work in MelScript for a long time. And then right when I felt like I actually like knew MelScript pretty well, like all of the weird quirks and stuff, then they switched everything to Python. So it was like another kind of wasted language. Oh well. I mean, I won't stop you if you want to make an ad for a plugin for auto-playing ads. But yeah, I still, I'll have to keep the limits on there, so you can just have it like wait a little while and then autoplay. But yeah, in most programming languages, like, yeah, logic part is similar. Some are structured differently. Some languages are more geared for like parallel stuff, or like I want to play with Rust. Rust is supposed to be built pretty well for, like doing stuff in parallel. That's kind of the big thing these days is like, machines have so many processors. Like if you can take advantage of all of them, like you can do a whole lot more. Like back when I was learning, it's like back in the 90s and, even early 2000s, it's like most computers had like one processor. So it was just, there wasn't really a reason to like use threads and multiple processes and things like that. But now it's like, multi-threading is very common, and also like GPU stuff, just like that's a completely new territory. And yeah, it's just like so many different ways. Mel has his own yes, it stood for Maya Embedded Language. I think that's what MelScript stood for. And there's actually I think there's actually one piece of MelScript in the internal repo. Of course, I didn't include this in the public version because who the heck wants to see MelScript? But I think, ballisticamaya-tools.mel. This is probably like one of the oldest pieces of code in all the BombSquad stuff. So let's see what this looks like. So this is just, I don't actually have Maya installed on this machine. I need to get it in there. But this just basically builds a little like tool window that you can use to like, for when I like tag or when I create all the maps and stuff like that. I just have these little like tool windows where I tag things as like, this thing should get exported as a mesh. This thing should be exported with this name and whatever. And then I have some scripts that tell Maya to export all the stuff. And most of that is Python because, like I said, Maya switched to Python back in like 2006 or something like that. But I think this was written before 2006. So this is MelScript. This is this weird like it's some sort of, it looks like an unholy combination of like C and shell script. Like some of this stuff looks totally like shell script, but then there's some parts of it that look totally like C. Or see, I can't find. Yeah, I don't know, but it worked back in the day. But it's so like quirky, and had so many like weird corner case behaviors of like, why does this work this way? So I'm definitely glad they switched to Python. It seemed like that happened a lot in like the industry, like big apps, like big programs and things like that. A lot of times used to have their own scripting language, but now it's kind of like everything's converged around stuff like Python. I wanted to show you my exciting coffee cup this week. This is I got this when I was in Vancouver years ago. So it's my bear. It's very nice. Though it's a little scary because it's like super tall, so I'm like paranoid I'm going to knock it over and destroy my computer with coffee. Has anyone ever done that? Like I like spilled something and destroyed your laptop? Well, chips, yeah, I mean, that would be bad, but I feel like it wouldn't at least destroy your laptop. It might just make it sticky or crunchy or something. Phone only okay. Yeah, I guess phones are usually more resilient to that sort of thing. Yeah, I thankfully haven't. I think actually when I was playing Bomb Squad once, like a very early version, like in 2008 or something like that, I had a party and a bunch of people came over and we were playing like Bomb Squad on the big TV, and I think I like spilled some sort of drink. It could have been beer even. I don't remember. I spilled something on like the corner of my laptop, and so like the only thing it affected was like the keyboard backlight. So like there was like a little corner of the keyboard that didn't light up because I spilled beer on it or something. So that's the worst accident I've ever had. So not too bad. So yeah. So aside from yeah, the linking stuff, there's still that little bit I need to do. As I mentioned, I need to expose the the unlink button when you're signed in with the V2 account, and then I can give some thought to yeah, if we should keep just allowing device accounts to keep being used. But yeah, aside from that, it's just been I'm still dealing with more like account or not account stuff, but just like V2 stuff. So I mentioned last time, there were all the little errors and or warnings and errors and things like that happening on the master server, and that's still going on. You can see still my lots of orange here. So 426 warnings in the last hour, which is not great. So 8 errors, which is not great either. Um, I mean, considering like how many connections are happening, it's not bad because there's something like 40 connections per second to the master server. So there's a lot of stuff happening. But ideally, I would like no warnings and not quite this many. So I'll probably still be working on that. Now that linking is mostly done, I'll probably be working on this stuff for the next week or two, maybe up till Christmas or something, trying to get this stuff smoothed out. Uh, 2 different versions of the same game, is that possible? One from APK and one latest from Play Store. I th- I don't think it's possible. I'd have to check. I don't actually remember right now. Like, or maybe it is. Maybe let me check here. Because this is all dependent on like the app ID. So every app on Android has an app ID. So for BombSquad, it's like net.fromling.bombsquad. And let's go into the Android setup here, and I know some versions of the game have different app IDs, so I'm trying to remember if like the test builds, the test APK builds, if those have different app IDs. And here we can go find out. So that would be oh, whoops, that is the wrong file. Okay, so yeah, here are all the different like flavors of the game. No, it doesn't look like. I could actually change that. Maybe that would be worth. You can see there's this like application ID suffix. So, there's like a demo version of the game where it's like net.fremling.bombsquad.demo. um, or yeah, the arcade version's net.fremling.bombsquad.arcade. But yeah, the test builds, I think they're all just this, the generic version. So there's no suffix there. So I think they're the same as the Google version. So they're both net.fremling.bombsquad, unfortunately. Yeah. I could change it though. Like if people would prefer that, we could make like the test builds like have their own app IDs. Then you could have like a test build alongside the Google Play version. Would people prefer that? Of course, it means you'd have to like uninstall your current test build or whatever. Oh, are other people, are you able to have the Google version alongside like the, manual installed APK version? Maybe Android can do that in some way, but I didn't think it could. Or I can double check too, unless maybe I'm missing something with. Does that let you install? It says multiple accounts of the same app, but does that let you install multiple like versions of the same app and like totally different APKs? And I guess, by extension, you could also use that for versioning. Like if you wanted to keep Bomb Squad 1.7 and 1.6 around, like that could be kind of cool. Like obviously you can do that sort of thing on a PC or whatever. Just keep things in different directories. Okay. Huh. So yeah, in that case, maybe I won't. If it's possible to have multiple versions of things at once, like maybe I won't even bother with, changing the app ID. So yeah, that's good to know. Do people like? Do people have a way, like, if you wanted to get the 1.6 version of like the Google Play Store game, like, do people have a way to get that easily? I'm always curious about that because I keep old APKs around like test builds, but I don't actually keep like old Google Play APKs because Google Play actually like builds APKs itself. Like when you submit something to Google Play these days, like you submit this kind of big package thing that just contains like all the versions, and then Google Play like spits it out into different APKs. So it's not like I can actually keep. So there's probably like a lot of different APK varieties. There's like one per architecture, stuff like that. There's like an x86 version and a ARM 32-bit version and an ARM 64-bit version. So there's all these APKs that Google generates. So I'm just curious, like that would be a lot for me to try to keep around, even if I could get them all. But okay, so there's websites. Okay, because yeah, that's I'm kind of curious about that. Also, in terms of like if there's features that kind of break stuff for people, or there's like if like device accounts go away and then somebody really wants to access their device account, like if I can point them at something, be like, hey, go install this old version, and then you can still use your device account if you need to like upgrade it. Okay, well, it's good to know that all that stuff is around. Definitely let me know though if it ever seems like it would be useful to have like the generic test versions, and by those I mean if you go to ballistica.net. Oh no, is my computer doing that stupid thing again? Okay, well, normally if you go to ballistica.net/downloads, oh no, there we go. It's just slightly constipated. But yeah, like these test builds here, we could give these a different app ID if that would be useful, like net.fromling.bombsquad.test. Okay, cool. Hey, old Italian versions. Hello. And that reminds me, I do want to. I should add like links to like the store versions here, like the, just Google Play app page and stuff like that. So this could just be like a general place to get Ballistica or Bomb Squad builds of any sort. There was something I was going to mention. What was that? Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, if anyone wants to talk, like, please feel free to talk. I'm totally fine. Just like if everyone likes typing, that's fine too. But there's definitely no rule that people can't talk here. Yeah, I know people have mentioned that. Like, people have like accents. It's hard to understand. Um, yeah, like I mentioned my girlfriend's from Poland, so she has a decently thick Polish accent, and she's working at a university here, and she's working with a lot of people from all over the world and whatnot. So everyone has thick accents of different forms. So it's interesting to hear from her like which ones are hard or easy to understand and things like that. Because for me, like as a native, I grew up in the U.S. I'm a native English speaker, and so it's like some accents, I can understand most of them. Some of them are harder than others. But it always makes me wonder, like, if people from different parts of the world hearing English with a certain accent, like, does that make it even harder? So anyone else have any topics, anything we could chat about? I'm mostly like basically my weekly my weekly update is basically done. It's just the account linking stuff. Or is there any other thoughts on account linking, things like that? Oh yeah, I mentioned this before. Yeah, I set that up years ago. I set up like CPU and GPU benchmarks. Where is it? Yeah, benchmarks and stress tests. Yeah, I put a button in there for a GPU benchmark, but then I never actually implemented the GPU benchmark. So it's just had this same error for like 7 years now or something like that. The CPU works. Yay. It has this nice end test button. So. And there's this media reload benchmark, which.
I had a question.
Oh yeah, hello. Who's talking?
Hi, it's
Hi.
teacher.
Oh cool.
What was the most enjoyable feature of the game?
Enjoyable to.
In the sense, like, which one did you like building
Oh,
the most interesting, or the most challenging?
I would say like the physics. Like I love physics stuff. So yeah, I feel really bad because I haven't like touched any of the physics stuff in a while. But like that was so much fun. Like wiring up, like getting that stuff working in the first place. Getting also like wiring up the ragdolls, getting that all working. I have I I don't know if they're on YouTube. I have some videos where I was just like wiring up characters and just like making them dance and goofy stuff like that. Like that was, I just love that kind of
Oh,
stuff. So
okay.
I feel bad, like I said, that I haven't actually touched the physics in a while, but that's something with this next version, like the whole like scene versioning thing. I want to make it, easier to kind of change the physics without like breaking the existing versions for everyone. So I'm really looking forward to doing more with the physics coming up, and also making it easier for other people to do more with the physics. Um, People have like done a whole lot by like like taking the existing constraints and like pushing them to their limits. But I'd love to make it easier to you know everyone uses like the prop node and the terrain node and a few other like basic building blocks. But I'd love to have like more building blocks. So that's really where I'm excited to like push the game forward once we get all this account stuff and net play stuff and all that in a good place. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Cool,
That's
cool.
awesome.
And congrats on being the first person to ever speak here and what 12 episodes in. So, anyone else?
Really?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. No one everyone's it's always just been typing. So,
Oh, okay. I thought that was an understood rule that we have to only type in here.
oh no, no, I think I was like surprised when we did this the first time and like everyone was just typing and I was like, why is no one talking? But and it's totally fine. People, if everyone's comfortable typing, that nothing wrong with that. But it's definitely like not a rule.
Okay.
So yeah, feel free anyone to speak up and thank you. Let's see. Ideal value for CPU benchmarks. I haven't actually looked at this recently, and I'm not sure. Like CPUs have gotten so fast. This might not actually be very indicative of like CPU speed anymore. It might be like totally limited by like frame rate or something. So this would probably be good to revisit. Like right now, it's like the stuff runs so fast. Like I'm curious. Cycle time 1042. I'd be curious to like see what these values are for a bunch of different devices and see if that's actually relevant or if it's like I said, if it's like artificially limited. Is it useful for mobile? It shows you. I remember, but yeah, back in the day, like when I was developing the Android version, it seemed like it was kind of relevant. I'm gonna see what I get on my trusty old Nexus here. 1 second. Right. Actually, I will leave screen sharing off because I'm sure that would make it worse. So, okay, CPU benchmark. Okay, cycle time on here is what 7,000. So not especially. Oh, 5,000. I guess a little faster a second time through. But my modern Mac, it's about 1,000, so 6 times faster. So that seems about right. It's like a 7 or 8 year old phone. Yes, we are proud of you. Oh, dear. Yeah, we should totally like make a video series teaching Spaz to blank, like teaching Spaz to cook.
This is the
Hello, what? Yeah, low cycle time is good. It basically what that benchmark does is it just runs through the demo and it takes off all like speed clamps or whatever. So it just like I think it just runs the physics of like the tutorial like as fast as it can. And so that's basically what that measures, which should be mostly CPU stuff because that should just be running all the like the rigid body simulations and the Python logic and stuff as fast as it can. But like I said, I didn't know if there's maybe some sort of like artificial limitation there or something. Like if I'd have to look at the code again. It's been a long time since I wrote that, but it would be good to like get a GPU one at some point. Like that would be like interesting, especially like it'd be. I do hope to on my giant to do list of many things that I'm sure not all of them will get done, but like writing a better renderer would be super fun. I know we've talked about this before, like. There's PCs have such like awesome GPU hardware these days and everything. It'd be awesome to make like a fully ray traced or something where you know, even though the game still has like very simple geometry and stuff, it'd be awesome to like see how fancy we could render it and make it look nice. Just to have that like as an option for high-end PC people. Are you talking about that button that we were just showing, the GPU benchmark that doesn't do anything? Oh, there's that other one which is like shows texture reloads, which is also basically useless. This like media reload. This just tells it how long it takes to reload all the textures, which is always very fast, which is very cool. Oh, recommended to. Oh yeah. A funny story. I think I told this story weeks ago, but yeah, GPU doesn't. This is still not wired up. I really should just take this button out because it's like it's been sitting there for 8 years not doing anything. But the media reload benchmark, I actually wrote this button specifically for NVIDIA, like whenever like the Shield TV came out, like their cool little Android box that you can plug into your TV. It's like there was, it was basically running like an NVIDIA GPU, so it had like, you know, NVIDIA kind of PC hardware almost in a way. And it was super fast for just like rendering the game. It was like one of the fastest Android devices that I tested it on up until then. But the one weird thing is that it took forever to like load textures. So like the game would, you know, the game would render super fast, but like, I mean, most of the time in the game, if you have a decent fast phone or whatever, like you shouldn't see much loading bars or anything like that. But on the Shield TV, it was like these like slow loading bars. So it was taking it forever to like load these textures in. And so that's why I wired this up, where it's like on most systems this is like instantaneous, but if you run it on like that Shield TV, it would take like 5 seconds. And so it must have been doing something where my guess is like it was taking like Android format textures like etc3 and converting them to like maybe under the hood, like converting them to like PC formats because it probably used like their PC hardware. That's my guess anyway. And so there must have been something happening there that was making their texture loads super slow. So anyway, I wired up this benchmark and I sent it to my contacts at NVIDIA. I don't know if they ever, I mean, I'm sure if they took a look at it, they'd be like, oh yeah, it's transcoding, so that's why. But that's why this button exists. It's not actually, I don't think, useful for anyone else. So I should probably take that button out too, along with the GPU benchmark. Or we should just, you know, wire up a proper GPU benchmark. That would be cool. When did the playlist button come and stress test? Oh, that's I think that's been there the whole time. Or at least as long as I can remember, unless somebody, you know, sneakily added it in a PR recently, but I think that's always been there. I actually used the stress test a decent amount for just like in developing. So I just, you know, I'd set a machine to the side with a debug build of the game and just have it run the stress test for like hours just to see, like occasionally I'd get an error popping up, like some Python error. So it kind of helps just shake out random errors. But yeah, it's not super user friendly. I mean, this should have like a pop up to like select one of your playlists, but instead you have to come up with a name. Or default is like the technical name for, you know, Teams defaults or whatever. So, yay, stress test.
Are there plans of adding rewind in replay?
Yeah, I would love to do that. That's basically just a technical challenge. I mean, basically what replays are, it's as if you're connected to a network game, like you're getting a stream of commands, except instead of those commands coming from the network, they're just coming from a file on disk. So we would just have to add some sort of like save points or something, have the game like somehow, or yeah, just some way to be able to kind of like reset the game state back in time and then play forward until the place it's supposed to be at, you know? So it just, there's not that logic there yet, but that would be useful to add because I know that's been asked for a lot. So that's maybe something, if someone feels ambitious, you know, I could point you at all that code. That stuff is all open source, like the replays. But yeah, it's something I'd like to get to also, but it's not too high in like my priority list.
I was surprised that older replays were. I was able to play the older replays on the new versions.
Oh yeah, that goes back to what I was talking about, like the scene versions stuff. Like that's something I've tried to keep things very compatible, like going way back to like version 1.2 or something like that. So
Awesome.
which is it's good, but it's also bad. Like the bad thing is, we can't change the game logic a ton, like all the nodes and things like that. If you look at like the pieces that build up the game, they have to have like the same attributes and be in the same order and things like that in order to be able to like digest those old replays. Um,
Okay.
so the downside of that is like we can't like evolve stuff. Like we can't like change those attributes or make new nodes or replace some node with another node, um, because we still want to be able to like play old replays and things. Um, so that's part of the next thing is like scene versions, so where basically all of that stuff, like all the here I'll show you where all that lives. Source Ballistica scene. Yeah, like all of this stuff, it'll be broken down into like different versions. So we'll have like, the classic scene, which has like these particular nodes with these particular like attributes and things like that. So we'll be able to like play old replays and connect to old versions of the game. But then we'll also be able to split out like a scene V2 or something that has a completely different set of them. So then we can start to do stuff like evolve the game forward, like clean up old things that should have been implemented better and add new node types and fun change the physics and stuff like that without like breaking the old one. So I'm definitely
Okay.
excited about getting that going. That should be part of 1.8 once I finally finish up all this account stuff and really get going on 1.8. That's kind of the first part of that.
And how
Maybe we
much
could have
time?
an export button where it just exports to MP4.
Oh yeah, I saw this down here. That would be super awesome. And I've looked into that a little bit, trying to see like if I could wire that up, like on a Amazon EC2 instance or something. I haven't gotten very far. Like that would, if someone would want to do that as like a hobby project, just or at least help me look into it, like how we could do that. It would basically, we just have to like script some sort of computer to launch a copy of the game, play some replay, and screen capture it or something. Like I'm not sure that what the best way to do that would be. Um, or that could be, I mean, maybe that could be integrated into the engine somehow, where like it did all that under the hood, so it wouldn't have to like screen capture and play the whole replay or something. But yeah, that would be super cool. Like if it were possible to export.
So, as far as I understand, right now it's just replaying the commands, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
not.
yeah, exactly. So it's like I said, it's basically doing exactly what it does in a network game. It's just instead of like data coming in over the network, it's coming in from a file. So it just like it
Ah,
basically when you play a net game or play any other game, it's just like saving that stream of commands into a file,
okay.
and that's what a replay
Okay.
is.
Maybe every frame could be saved and then just generate a video out of it.
Yeah, that's an option. There's still sound to think about though too, so we'd have to like dump the sound out to a giant wave file or something. Um,
Mm.
and most modern hardware is really good at like creating video on the fly. If you give it a stream of stuff, and like if we actually just saved out every frame of the game as like an image, like that would get really big really fast. So like ideally, if there's something like a video compressor, we could just be sending this stuff to on the fly. Like that would probably work pretty well. It's just like I haven't like, had experience wiring that up. And
Okay.
unfortunately, stuff like that is probably very different on different platforms. Like implementing that on Android probably would be easy because I feel like Android, probably has pretty good like video capture stuff built in for, like screen capture and capturing from your camera and all that. So probably harnessing that probably wouldn't be too hard. The downside is it would be completely different from doing it on like the PC version or the Mac version or the future iPhone version. So so that makes me wonder like if the best case would be just to like send the replay file up to a server somewhere that was set up to do that, and then it would send you back an MP3 or something like that. There's different ideas.
Okay.
Eric, can I tell you my question?
Sure.
Finally, how much time was spent on developing the version of BombSquad that we are used to?
On which version? Like on like the total like all versions, or like the like how much time have I spent like over the years, or could you clarify?
Maybe all.
All versions. Let's see. I really like. I don't have like I haven't like kept track of time I've been working on it, but basically I writing the initial version, which was just kind of it was a hobby that I was writing while when I was graduating from college. I started writing BombSquad as a hobby while I was applying for jobs and stuff like that, and I probably worked on it for a few months and then got it to a basic workable state. So I mean, yeah, it was probably a few months of work, month or two of work, or something like that. Um, but then for many years, it was like my hobby. So I would work on it for a few months, like in my spare time, and then I'd forget about it for a year, and then I'd work on it, maybe for another few months in my spare time. Um, and then yeah, while I was at Pixar, I forgot about the game for a long time. It was just like, again, I'd dust it off every now and then and play with friends, but it kind of set. So yeah, the total amount of time I put into it was, like little bits and pieces here over the course of, like 5 or 7 years or something like that. And then at some point I decided, some friends of mine actually encouraged me to like clean the game up and put it out on like an app store and like sell it. So, and then that was probably a few months of work, or maybe like 5 months of work or something to clean the game up and make it available, or make it like I always laugh about how I had all these like celebrities and things in there, just because the game was for me just to play with my friends, so I didn't worry about things being like legal. So a lot of the cleanup work was like taking that stuff out and replacing it with stuff I made myself. So I mean, total between when I started working on it and when I released the game, like version 1 was probably some months of work. I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 months, who knows. Like if I had sat down and worked on it like every day for like a 9 to 5 job, like yeah, I'm guessing it would have been between 5 and 12 months or something. But of course, since then it's been like the different versions, like 1.5. I've spent like literally years working on it since then. But a lot of that is just server stuff. I mean, probably these days, like most of it is server stuff, I think. I mean, unfortunately, right now, like I'm not actually making too many changes in the game. It's mostly just like all this crazy backend server stuff, getting all the like getting all these pieces in place. So the future versions will be able to do squads and stuff like that. So this stuff has been definitely years of work, but the game itself is probably, yeah, it was maybe like a year of work for the initial version or something. Plus, yeah, like I said, years spread out on all these things. I hope that somewhat answers the question. It's interesting to, I follow a lot of like indie game developers and stuff, and there's some that they're so prolific, they put out like 5 different indie games per year, and then there's some that like work on the same game for like 5 years, and it's like people are all over the range of what they do, but I guess it's just whatever works for people. So.
I see that submarine players are gone now.
Oh yeah. Oh, I almost posted a screenshot the other night. There were like 2 of them. There was like one out here and one way down here, like hardcore submarine players somewhere in the middle of the Pacific, like nowhere near Hawaii. So those are definitely submarines. So, thank you. How can I create permanent server? I mean, there's probably tutorials and things out there, but the latest server downloads are just ballistica.net downloads. Grab a server build and then install it on if you have a machine connected to the internet with a good connection, just install it and run it on there. Or spinning up an AWS server, or any sort of dedicated server service, you can install something on there. It's basically just keeping a specific port open. There should be some basic instructions included with this stuff, but just get the server running and make sure you have a port open, and that's basically it. When you have your server running, you should, like, there should be a little message telling you that if it's accessible from the internet, because like I have my master server, which is the thing running all this. Whenever the game tells you your game is accessible or not, that basically just means like the master server has tried to ping your game, and if it got through, then it tells your game that like, hey, you seem to be accessible. And if it didn't, then so it could be any reasons why it doesn't. Like usually it means like you haven't opened that port on your router or whatever, like it's not forwarding to your server. But it could be anything, like, you know, if your ISP blocks that type of connection, or, you know, any sort of craziness. Or if for whatever reason, like my master server just isn't able to talk to your server, it'll tell you it's not accessible. iOS version is not out yet. I feel so bad for iOS people, because I am an iOS person. But yeah, the plan is still version 2 of the game, which I'm working towards. Version 2 the plan is to launch on Steam and iOS officially for version 2, which is basically like the squad system, like having the squad system and like the asset package system. Those are kind of the two big pieces. The third big piece was V2 accounts, but those are basically done now, aside from, you know, smoothing over these issues. So now it's just like getting squads working, so you can like join groups with your friends and play against other groups, and then the asset stuff, so we can add characters and add maps and add stuff like that without having to force everyone to download a new version and keep in sync and all that stuff. And so yeah, if anyone, if you haven't seen that, if you go to, on the wiki here, there's a roadmap. So if you go to ballistica.net roadmap, this just kind of shows the basic, this plan has changed a bit, and it probably will evolve a little bit. But yeah, basically like the few things that are going to be in 1.8 and then 1.9. So 2.0 is, I kind of changed this where there's not really any planned additions for 2.0. It's basically just like taking all the 1.8 and 1.9 stuff and launching on different platforms, which I'm sure will be plenty of work in itself, but, you know, getting like iOS out there and getting Steam out there. And then, yeah, beyond that, it would be great to have like a Switch version, or, you know, other things like that, or PlayStation, or who knows, like console versions would be super awesome. But yeah, gonna at least focus on Steam and iOS first, because it's basically, the game is running on there in both places. It just needs to be cleaned up. Like there's some, if anyone's running the test builds, the PC test builds, you'll probably notice there's, you know, certain things that don't work. Like there's no custom soundtracks on PC, or you can't display like Unicode characters, so like emojis don't show up, and a lot of languages don't show up. So little things like that just need to be finished. We'll be able to host public parties without router config once Sandbox rolls out. We'll have to see. I mean, like the squad stuff, it'll be more built around the idea of, yeah, you know, like creating games on the fly, in terms of like, oh, I have my squad of people, like let's play this game type, or let's play this playlist or whatever, you know, something like that. So there will be some way to like, yeah, invite your friends and play some game with mods that you've written or something. Like it might be more like where you you know, press a button to like play around, as opposed to like having a dedicated server that you connect to. Like that probably like that's a good question though. Like maybe that would be useful. Like if people want to set up like a dedicated public server with certain mods enabled. Like maybe we could do that through the cloud stuff. That's a good question. But my first plan is to do more like the, you know, spin up a game for a particular match, and then spin up another game for a particular match, like the kind of, you know, ad hoc matchmaking type stuff. But it's, you know, nothing is super set in stone. So if anyone, like if you all have requests or something, like you want to be able to do like a static public server with mods, like that's something we could certainly do. The only real limits on the cloud stuff is, you know, it occasionally needs to reboot, but servers do that anyway. So, you know, I think all the existing cloud servers I'm running, like the games restart every few hours or something like that, just to give things a chance to, you know, refresh. I haven't actually stress tested like how long the game would last, like without restarting it. I'm sure there's like there's probably little memory leaks here and there, and, you know, I'm sure stuff would start going bad. Like once the game time gets large enough, like you probably start to get like weird floating point errors or something. So I don't really want to test and see what happens, but it would be interesting to know like how long you can run the game before it self-destructs. Be able to create our own place. What do you mean by place? Like your own maps? Or... Unfortunately, servers, like, I mean, you might be able to... I know like Amazon EC2 has like a free tier, but you have to be very careful to like stay under a certain amount of usage in order for it to stay free. BombSquad unfortunately uses more bandwidth than it should right now, so I think that makes it hard, I think, to stay in the free tier. But other people might know better than me. Like, has anyone tried that? Oh, and yes, yeah. It will be possible to create custom maps. That's part of the asset system in 1.8. Basically, my goal for myself is like all assets that I make, like any new characters and maps and whatever, will be created through this little section right here, which is not working yet, but like this section will be usable for like creating, you'll upload source files and set up characters and things like that. And then anyone will be able to use those. So, the game will dynamically download them when they're needed and stuff like that. So I'll be explaining how all that works. But the point is that I'm going to be building this system for myself to use, but it'll also be usable for other people. There'll probably be some sort of limitations, like, because I don't want to get in trouble for people like distributing, Star Wars characters and stuff like that without permission. So I'll have to look into like how exactly you can use stuff you've made. Like maybe you'll only be limited to like using it with your friends or something unless it gets like approved or something for public use, or I don't know. I'll have to look into how other games do that. But like I said, I don't want to get sued. So I'll have to make sure things stay legal. But I fully intend to, have all this stuff all these tools be usable by everyone. That's kind of my rule for myself is, like going forward, I want to like build tools for myself that everyone can use, not just me. I was mentioning Maya earlier. Like I should show you like my existing setup. I should install Maya on this machine. I actually don't have it installed right now, so I can't actually edit any of the maps and things. But I should get that installed, and I could show you like my super janky setup with like my old Melscript tool set and things like that for how I built the maps and characters and all that. But I want to, again, I want to like redo that for the 1.8 asset system, just so it's like easier and more digestible, and it's not weird cryptic, like file formats that people have to reverse engineer and stuff like that. Oh, thank you. There's still some other like plugin related things I wanted to add. I know I mentioned at some point I was talking to folks mentioning like it'd be great to have a way to override things in the game. Have some sort of like override system where certain bits of functionality, like say like the chat window, it would be like easy to replace that with a custom chat window, like just some kind of little system that we could start using in different places where it would be possible for plugins to override things like that in an easy way without like. I know a lot of modders early on. Basically the way they would mod is just replace all the system files, like replace all the script files that build all this UI and stuff, and then you can totally change things then. The downside with that though is when the game gets updated, then you have to like port all your changes over to the latest version of the game and stuff, and it's not very maintainable. So that's why it would be great to have ways where you can like make a plugin that overrides the chat window and like plugs that into the game easily, or a plugin that overrides say, like the on-screen controls for the touch version. That's another thing that came up. Like it'd be great, like to have a plugin that would just completely customize the touchscreen controls without having to like go in and hack the original source code. Just like having ways to like insert that stuff. So hoping to get to that at some point too. Aw, can't handle editing and modeling. I mean, most of these game models are still pretty like low polygon. Like there's nothing that's too crazy. So even if you have like an older or slower machine, like hopefully you could still do some of this stuff. But yeah, servers for free is, I mean, if you can find one that will, let you run a BombSquad server for free, like that's cool. But it's they're definitely not free for me, unfortunately. So yeah, EC2 servers, they definitely add up, especially when you're running like this many of them, like all these. Yeah, this is my list of. I'm currently running 70 EC2 servers. So yeah, so that's why need to have ads and stuff in the game to at least make enough money to pay for all those EC2 servers. Be able to add friends in BombSquad and invite them to play multiplayer. Yes, this is exactly what the squad system is. The squad system will be, it'll probably be like a whole new screen you'll come into, but it'll basically be built around like inviting friends to your squad. So you'll have like a list of friends and then, playing, like launching games using your squad essentially. So just getting like 4 friends together and then, playing games against random other 4 people or just playing games amongst yourselves or things like that. It's kind of a common thing with games. Like if you're playing Fortnite or something like that, that's how that generally works. You just like invite your group of friends, get them together and then play games with them. So that's kind of the goal there. Make new maps. I know there's tutorials and things out there now. I mean, it is possible to make new maps. It's just you have to you definitely have to hack stuff. You have to like compile the BOB files, the BombSquad object files, and the COB files, which are collision files or collision meshes, and convert textures into the right formats. And if you do all that and put things in the right place, like you can get the game to load custom maps. And a lot of people have done that, but that's definitely like part of my goal with the asset stuff in 1.8 is to make that not nearly that hard. So. The goal in 1.8 is like you should just be able to upload like PNG files and JPEG files and probably like JSON files for like meshes and things, which hopefully will be easy to generate from anywhere. I'm sure people will probably come up with like a Blender exporter for them or something like that, and it should be a lot easier than like reverse engineering like the Bob files and the stuff. How much RAM BombSquad server need? Not too much. Let me check out how much the game is running right now. And if you check out the graphical version of the game, I think it's like 100 megs or something like that. Okay, so the graphical version right now is 196 megs, which is kind of more than I expect. I thought it would be closer to 100, but most of that is probably all the textures and meshes and sounds and things like that the server doesn't need. So I'm guessing the server is like maybe somewhere between like 30 or 50 or maybe up to 100 or something if it has a lot going on. I should check. I should like SSH into one of my machines and see what's happening. So yeah, if you like right now is not I know I'm making people wait a long time for 1.8 and everything, but yeah, it will be a lot better to learn how to make stuff then versus right now. I know there's some stuff I could have done to make the whole Bob Cobb thing easier and whatnot, but it's just like I'd rather make a proper smooth workflow for it as opposed to trying to put band-aids on this kind of ugly one. Oh, I can't sing a song. I love karaoke. Like if I go to karaoke, I will totally open up and sing crazy songs. But yeah, I feel like I don't quite have the confidence to just like bust out in song at any time. I envy people who do. Rickroll, please. Can you keep an edit where we can ban maps like? So what do you ban map? You want to be able to ban certain maps? Like, what do you mean by that? Quick mode, like the reverse of epic mode. Oh, geez. I feel like that would be interesting. Maybe for a certain like game type, it would be fun. Like if you're like a wide open space and you're like running around super fast. But it seems like I feel like a lot of people like edit mode because or epic mode because it kind of like takes network latency out of the equation. It's like lag doesn't affect it as much when things are slow. I feel like a fast mode would be the opposite problem, where it would just be like if you have any lag whatsoever, you'd just be like screwed. Off-topic question: are you following the World Cup? I was briefly. I mean, a little bit while the U.S. was in it, which wasn't terribly long. I'm kind of following it casually, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm not like super invested or anything. Or yeah, I was kind of following, while the U.S. was still in it, and then Poland. My girlfriend's Polish, so we were kind of, keeping an eye on them. But both of them are out now. So, how about you folks? Is anyone who's still in it? Like I'm kind of like oblivious right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching the last semifinal.
Cool.
Yeah, me too.
So I heard there's a team from Africa, right? Is something like the first
Morocco.
Morocco.
Yes,
Yeah, Morocco's
Morocco.
like first time an African team has been made it to this semifinals.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Some are playing good.
Yeah. They have their match today.
Cool.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and then yeah. And Argentina is still in it, or are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yesterday they won against.
I remember the last time it was a few weeks ago. I was talking about the World Cup a little bit.
Argentina is in finals.
Okay.
Yeah, the last World Cup was won by France, I think. And won. Yeah. France.
Cool. So ticket syncing issue, Mr. Smoothie, you mentioned. Which issue is that? Was this the one you were having with the account linking stuff, or? Yeah, I looked into like maybe ping me again in the other chat, but yeah, you have to remind me like what seemed weird because it looked like you basically linked your account that had a lot of stuff. You like relinked that to point to your kind of empty account, which is why you kind of like lost stuff. But then you unlinked it and got stuff back. So we should check in just to make sure, like see if something was wrong. But yeah, basically it looked like you linked your Google Play account to your V2 or your Google Play login to your V2 account, which meant like you lost your like the account that your Google Play was pointing at. Which is a bit of a bummer because like if you link your other one has like a really low A number. It's like I forgot what it was. So it's like ideally you'd want to keep that, but that one doesn't have any progress. So it's like I'm trying to think. I don't know what the best solution there is. Like you should probably link all your stuff to the one that has all your progress on it, even if the A number is not good. Because I want to communicate that to people. Like basically the account is the thing with like the A dash number and like your unique name and all your progress. Like that is a, if you're pointing logins at different accounts, like the account is the constant thing. But if you point all your logins away from an account and that account goes away, like that progress is all gone. But then again, we also also need to get that thing in here where people can unlink their V1 links, because that makes things even more complicated. But yeah, if any of you are like have questions about linking or unlinking, just feel free to ask me, or take it slow. I definitely don't want people to like lose data, which you shouldn't. Like even right now when it deletes, if you delete a V2 account, or if you point all your logins away from your account so the account goes away, like it backs that stuff up, so like nothing is permanently lost in most cases. So it should be possible to get it back, but I'd still prefer to not, have people, freak out and lose their stuff, or prefer to not have to help people recover things more than necessary too. Oh, there could be that. Like, oh, maybe I'd have to check. I don't know if there's any limitations like built into the game on stuff like that. If that seems to be the case, like if you create a private server and you find you can't connect with two accounts that are the same account, like let me know, because I can maybe fix that. Because I don't think that was an intended limitation. If it is, like I would prefer to have like some sort of message or something telling people like, oh, you were kicked because you're already in that game. But there could be some sort of like bug or something that I don't realize where maybe that doesn't work when it should. Yeah, A136. Let's see what we're up to. Like now that everyone playing the game gets V2 accounts, like the numbers are shooting up pretty fast. So we are at, yeah, the last one made 26 seconds ago is 127,216. So yeah, so if you have a low number, you're special. And yeah, if you have a low number account and like you can't use it or something, like someone might want it. I just fixed things. So like I mentioned, there's this sharding stuff where like most people that have accounts now will have this like weird letter. So like BAE. But I fixed it. So basically,
display if you click on the IDs.
oh, if I click on IDs right now,
Like, yeah.
like I just
Display some information about the user.
Yeah, this is just something I made for myself. At some point I want to make like a proper way where people can look up each other's accounts just to like learn about the person, or maybe from the game there would be ways to link that or something.
Yeah, like a search engine for friends, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Right now this is just like a super simple little page I threw together for myself just to like see who's registering accounts and make sure they're getting like proper names and stuff. So it doesn't actually have much useful info on it right now, but yeah, that will be coming. I'll probably make something here, like maybe tools or some section.
Dude, in 2.0 upgrade, you can bring voice chat.
Oh, adding voice
It
chat?
will be very fun. Yeah, to private servers though.
Yeah, I'd have to look. Like, I'd be curious if there is a voice chat like technology or a voice chat like library that works cross-platform. I mean, I'm sure there is. I'm just curious if it.
It will be very fun, but it will be a mess in public servers. You can try that in private servers. Like modders can host that.
Okay. But yeah, I haven't looked into voice chat basically, but yeah, that would be cool. I know a lot of games have that. Can I have A0? That's me. Yes. Oh, really? Like RTX with BombSquad? Like that's a thing? Like you can just turn that. Oh, whoops. They have that where you can just like turn it on for games. Well, I could see like we could do voice chat for like maybe if the squad system comes up, like maybe you'd have like having voice chat for just your squad. I think that could be cool. I don't know if you'd want voice chat for like the full game. I don't know. Do you guys?
Yeah, I agree with Pro Gamer. Like that would be chaos.
Yeah.
Because I remember my neighbors would complain when we used to play a game.
Oh yeah.
We would be like screaming.
Oh no.
But I think it would be nice if we could have voice chat just in the lobby, where maybe we're doing the team selection. Maybe there makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Or like I was saying, like if you're playing with just a few friends or something, or just having those friends.
Yeah, I'm like, if you play in private servers, then it will be very cool with
Yeah,
team voice chat, like, or team selection.
yeah. So yeah, that's a good question about like the thing I don't know about it is like, is there a way that I could implement that would work like across platforms easily or something, or if that would be something that would be super specific to one platform? Because I'm in general I'm trying to like lean towards things that work everywhere. Like there used to be more things in the game. Like if you remember there was like Google Play invites in here, and like it gathered like invite your friends through like the Google Play stuff, but then like Google discontinued that, and so um, I'm trying to avoid things like that, which are like specific to individual platforms, because then it's like a lot of work only for one platform, and then if it gets discontinued, then I have to do something else. So if there is like a voice chat system that could work everywhere, like that would be super cool. So I'll have to look into that, or if anyone knows any stuff like that, or if there's others that other games use or anything, just like the technical details. Because it'd be a bummer too, like if it only worked on some platforms, like if you invite a few friends, but like your poor friend playing on Linux can't contribute to voice chat or something like that. So there's different factors there. So part of me thinks like letting people use Discord for voice chat or something might be the best option because it works for everyone technically. But it would be cool to have it in the game too. So I don't know. I'm torn.
Sometimes the in-game voice chats aren't that great, so we just shift to using Discord.
Yeah,
That's, that's
when I've played with friends recently, that's basically how we wind up doing it. Is just like everyone scrambles to try to like figure out how to turn the in-game one off because you hear themselves twice, like Discord and the in-game. But it does seem like ideally, if in-game works well, like maybe it's cool to have. I'm assuming on like consoles, it probably works better, right? If people, all the Xbox players getting together, probably voice chats works well there. Maybe I don't know.
Even with good ping, I haven't had a really nice experience because the lag is too much to play online.
Oh yeah, that goes into a number of a number of reasons. I should get into like the nerdy technical details, but basically, yeah, we at some point it would be great to get client prediction, which should help with that a lot, and also just getting more servers that are close to people, which I'm always trying to do that. Like I'm spinning up as many servers as possible. Like some parts of the world, like the U.S. is covered real well, like these little purple dots you see. I'm adding servers whenever I can, whenever Amazon makes them available. So this is what we have right now. South America obviously needs more. Africa only has one. Well, I think another one's going to pop up somewhere around here at some point, maybe up here. But yeah, part of it is like getting servers closer to people, and then another thing I need to fix is like the game takes way too much bandwidth. So I think like people on not great connections, that probably is a big problem. I do want to fix that. That is very fixable and something I definitely want to fix for my own sake, because like bandwidth costs are probably like the biggest cost of my servers right now. So if I can get the game to use like a lot less bandwidth, it'll be great for me and hopefully also great for other people. So yeah, there's little pieces that'll get us closer to lag free, but then yeah, like adding client prediction, which is a big technical challenge, but something I want to do at some point here in the future. Like that'll hopefully get it to the point where it feels instantaneous. But yeah, that's definitely a big technical challenge.
In any case, I'd still enjoy the in-person involvement. Like everybody in the same room. That's more fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, when I wrote the game for that, like it was,
yeah,
to play with my friends like on a big TV, sitting in the same room. That's kind of like the ideal. But so it's kind of like this long-term goal of trying to make the online stuff as close to that as possible. But it'll never quite be that perfect. But it's kind of like a goal to aim for.
mm-hmm.
Is BombSquad?
Unrelated. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I wasn't too important. You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to answer this. Is BombSquad's coming to Switch? I would love for that. I think the Switch would be a great platform for it because it does kind of have that, like local multiplayer playability. Like a lot of people have, 2 extra controllers, and then you can have at least like a 4-player game going on your TV. So I think that would be a great place for the game. That just like I can't, or I haven't like slotted that in though in the near future. So I'm trying to get to 2.0 because that has the iOS and Steam platforms, which are already close to being ready to go. And then but I'd love to add Switch at some point. It's mainly just like don't know when to do that, or maybe I could slot it in right after 2.0 or something like that. Game Boy Advance, is Nintendo still actually, are they supporting any other, like Switch is basically their only thing right now, right? Or are they actively supporting any, they don't have like a dedicated mobile system, do they? Lil Spaz. That's something I would like. Technically, I would be curious about that. I'm sure, like working on like a modern like Switch or, the latest like PlayStation or Xbox like developer kits, like that probably is something where, I mean, the game uses like basically the most modern version of Python and some decently like new tech. So I'd be curious, just technically, like if it would be possible to get it even like building on like one of the slightly older systems, like a even just like one generation ago stuff. I'm sure. I mean, anything is technically possible, but it just seems like it would probably be a lot easier on. I'm assuming like the latest and greatest console generations. There's certain things if you get into like nerdy details, like C++. Like there's certain things the game uses that are like C++ 17 or C++ 20 even. And so like I imagine that stuff will compile probably on like the Switch SDK, but I doubt it would compile on like a 3DS SDK or something a little older. And again, anything's possible. Like you could work around stuff like that, but it's just like a measure of like how much time and energy that would take. It's kind of like people ask about like running BombSquad on like Windows XP or something. People have like real old versions of Windows around, and it's technically it would be possible to make it work, but we'd have to like downgrade Python to be like several years old versions, or like Python itself only supports I think Windows 8 plus at this point, or maybe I'm sure soon it'll be like Windows 10 plus. I'm guessing. So it's like there's certain like limitations that I try to kind of stay within just to make it easy to make the game like easily compilable. So it would be, I hate abandoning people who are still running like Windows 7 or Windows XP or different things like that, but it's just like the effort it would be to keep that stuff working is it's kind of like out of bounds a little bit. See, stuff like this would be fun. Just like little ideas, BombSquad, but everyone has guns instead of bombs. Like that would be, I'd love to like make that like experiment with stuff like that. So, and as I mentioned before, like my whole philosophy with BombSquad is like I want to make different kind of games and experiment with other things, but I want to kind of just like make that possible with BombSquad. For me, it's like out of laziness. Like I don't want to set up like 10 different, like game pages, or have to submit 10 different games to the app stores and maintain each of them and stuff. Like I'd rather have one thing that is like maintainable that I can just kind of experiment within it. And so that's kind of what BombSquad, or the Ballistica engine, if you will, that's kind of what that's about. But it'd be fun to like make little variations with everyone running around with a little gun or something like that instead of bombs, or just like melee weapons. I thought about that. Like what if you had BombSquad but everyone just had like a big bat and you're just like beating on each other or something, and like dudes flying everywhere. Like there's all this fun stuff I'd love to try. But yes, once again, the to-do list, it expands. I should add like an official like to-do list on the wall. It could be like 10 feet long, and I could make a little ceremony of like adding something to it. Like it gets a little longer each time. But yeah, emotes. That's was mentioning this before with like the squad system. I think it would be great to, by default, when you're playing with the squad system, like you can communicate and chat with your squad members, but then it would just be like emotes. Like you're limited to emotes for communicating with the rest of the opposing team or something. Maybe it could be an option where people could like turn on like full chat or something, but I feel like that would get rid of a lot of like toxic issues and stuff. People complaining about people cursing in servers or flooding the stream with chat messages and stuff like that. Plus, then we could have fun with different emotes and stuff, or dances, or all that. Yeah, there's that one image people made of like the spaz. We totally need to make that an official like victory pose, emote, dance, whatever you call it. And then an important part of the squad stuff is a lot of games have this, like where when you're in the squad, like you see your people standing there, and so you can see your cool customized character, or maybe have him do his little dance or something like that while you're waiting around for the next game to start. So totally need to get on that. Yeah. Right now I just have like the stupid little thing where just like the dudes shake their arms. I'm literally just like shaking his hands, and like the physics kind of do the rest. But yeah, it'd be fun to like customize that, or make it like a little thing where like you supply some JSON data, and then you could like do your own. So like people could just come up with their own little ragdoll dances, and then if people have a good one, we could throw it on the store or something like that. It'd be fun. Yeah, we should totally do something like this. I mean, this goes along with I still owe you the proper REST API and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd love to now that the V2 accounts and server stuff is in place, like anything like that we can start adding for authenticating with third-party apps would be cool. Because as I mentioned, like for moving towards like the squad stuff, I want that to be as open as possible. So like if people want to write Discord integration, or like some other sort of thing for like links, I don't know, just I'd love to make it as open as possible where people can make tools to help them invite your friends or whatever, or do cool stuff with the online portions. And then have that talk to the back end so it's all verified and whatnot. It's funny, I've definitely over the course of doing this game, like the last 10 years, I've definitely learned the importance of security and verification and things like that. There's a story I always tell. When I first released the game on Android back, this was like a little over 10 years ago, like 2013 or something like that. The very first version of the game, like it had the in-app purchases, because I recently converted it. It used to be originally just like a paid game on Mac. It was just like a $5 unlock, or a $5 purchase. But then I switched it to be free to play. So that's when I added like ticket packs and stuff like that. But I didn't do any like server side verification. So I was like, oh, it's just a phone game. Like, who's gonna hack this? Little did I know. So I released the game, and then like within one day, it was like there were like millions of dollars worth of ticket pack purchases coming through, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm rich. I'm gonna move to an island and retire. And then I looked it up, and it was just like 99.9% of those were just like hacked purchases and things. So I was like, okay, apparently I probably should do some server verification for this stuff. So I've definitely learned that having security type stuff, verifying accounts and identities and purchases and all that is very important. People are very crafty. Any new animations? I mean, that goes along with, I think that would be fun to have like different celebration animations, or something like that. This goes back to the idea of cosmetic stuff. Like, I'd love to move most. I do want to like remove the limitations that are in the game, like not being able to edit playlists and things unless you have Pro. Like, I'd love to get rid of those limitations and just have everything be about like unlocking fun stuff like skins and dances and stuff like that. because then it doesn't like hold people back from enjoying the game. It just gives people like fun new things to unlock. So yeah, so that something like that, like yeah, dances or emotes or whatever, like it'd be totally cool to just be able to like customize your character in that way. We could have them show up at other times too. I don't know if we. That's a good question. Like, is there some way that we would like some control that we would expose to be able to like do that during the game? Like I'm trying to think like some shortcut or something or some. Because I do like keeping the controls kind of simple, where it's like you need a D-pad and 4 buttons. Like I kind of like having that being the minimum requirement to play the game. So it's like I kind of don't want to add like other controls using like that require you to have like more than 4 buttons. But I'm trying to think if there's some like way we could have people to like do a dance or an emote or something using 4 buttons. Like you hold down punch for long enough or something. I don't know. If anyone has any ideas, like please let me know. Or if you hold, you press 2 buttons at the same time. I don't know. Well, anyway, it looks like it's about at the 2-hour mark, so I will have to wrap up here in a moment. So if anyone has any last questions or comments or whatever for this week. Yeah, that's another thought is, it could just be in the end screen. Like if you're, because then we could have like different things. Like you could assign, that could be kind of cool. Like if your players are standing around in, the end screen, and then you could assign like the 4 buttons to be like 4 different dances or something like that. Or, who knows what you could do. We could just have fun little ways to like control your individual parts of your character or something. Just like do random spontaneous dances by moving their arms around. Who knows? Like maybe the D-pad would, like move your guy's head. I don't know. Double jump. I don't have plans for double jump, but if a lot of people would like to see it, that's something we could think about. In general, I mean, it'd be interesting. Like the jump is pretty minimal right now. Like we could make the jump go higher, or add a double jump or something. I found that with the physicsy stuff in the game, like I had to make the jump like pretty minimal. Otherwise, it was possible to like do bounces and like figure out ways to jump like super high. And even then, like some of the levels, like roundabout, it's pretty possible to like jump that gap. If you kind of get a running start and do a circle. So I had to kind of keep the jump somewhat minimal in order to keep the maps interesting. Game Boy Advance BombSquad. There we go. Okay, yeah, that's true. I don't want to. A lot of people learn bomb jump and stuff too. That will be interesting. It would be interesting to evolve the physics a little bit going forward, or like try to improve them and stuff on spaz. But it's like I also don't want to like anger people who are totally used to like the existing setup. So it'd be interesting to see like what the right balance is there. But ooh, goal by France. Is anyone here rooting for France? Ooh, climate. That could be interesting. That's a good question. Like, it could be fun. I mean, I've seen this happen a lot playing, local games where, someone will grab someone else and then fall off the edge. And so you're like hanging onto a person off of the edge. And that's kind of like that. It's a little bit like some people don't know how to get out of that. Like you can just, if you press punch, you'll generally knock them off. But yeah, it would be interesting, like grabbing edges, what dynamic that would add. Or if people would know how to like deal with that. Shooting with legs? What do you mean by that? Oh, high jump monster out there, but they land on head. Yeah, I'd probably have to add like some funky physics to like keep your guy upright. Or maybe not. Maybe that's part of the fun. Oh, kicking. Oh yeah, that could be interesting. Maybe that'd be a power up or something. Like you get like boots instead of punching. Then you have like cool kicks that do tons of damage, or who knows. Awesome. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, this would be good. Like being able to customize mobile phone. I know this is a common request of like people want a dedicated run button or things like that. Um, this is one of those things where like part of me thinks like I should just make that stuff controllable with a plugin so you can like override it and then people could make their own like completely crazy setups. But it might be good to just add some of the features to the default one too. So who knows? Oh yeah, that could be interesting too. Yeah, we don't have any. We currently don't really have any like charge up moves at all, like holding punch to charge it. I think I think I was experimenting with that in like the very first version of the game or something, where like punches. It wasn't quite so much like based on physics. It was more just like if you held the button down for longer, it would like be a stronger punch. But I feel like a lot of people didn't get that or something. At least the like my cousins, the people I was playing it with. Though I guess a lot of people don't really get the physicsy part either. Most people just like stand there and do like weak punches. All right, so another question or two, and then I'll have to cut us off for the day. What new modes can we expect in the near future? Well, so the near future, unfortunately, is basically me working towards like the asset stuff and the squad stuff. So that's all. The squad stuff will be 1.8 and 1.9. The asset stuff will be 1.8. So probably the nearest exciting stuff will be probably when 1.8 starts to come together. That should open up a lot more, character customization, things like that, like new mods or variations on, or I mean, new skins, variation on existing skins, maybe new maps, things like that. And maybe before that, like one other thing that I do want to start to work on is I do want to kind of start to get the squads thing in place, even like a really early like beta version, just something, because we have all these the V2 account stuff that's really all about like the squads and like this is the tech that we need for squads to work. So it'd be fun to start at least making like a beta test version of squads, where like you can start to invite your friends to a little group and then play a game with that group, or do a custom server game with your own mods or something like that with that group, or even start to do like matchmaking where you just like play against other groups. Like even if we have it in like a preview mode or something, something where it's not like exposed for everyone until we get it working well. But that I would like to start working on that. So I'm hoping maybe I'll have something I can share with you folks for that, before too long. Maybe probably before 1.8 even comes out, because that's totally a separate thing. That's basically like mostly server side stuff. It doesn't really depend on the client version. So anyway, so that's the next things you can kind of expect is more assets and more unlockable stuff in 1.8, and then squad stuff, maybe like an early version of squad stuff. Use of the physics thing is perfect and doesn't need changes. Yeah, that's again. Well, we will have to see. Like part of me agrees it's good to keep things the same so the people are like used to it, but then part of me is just like, oh, what if you like changed it up a lot or something? I mean, I guess we could have like a totally different character, like not, we have Spaz, but we could have like something that just like feels totally different, like a small penguin. Like it'd be interesting to experiment, but then also maybe keep the classic stuff there. So who knows? So yeah, I'll be mentioning the squad system when that's ready to test. It'll probably be ugly and basic and maybe buggy at first, but it'll hopefully be kind of fun to work with. So yeah, my plan is like, when we can get the squad system kind of slowly up and running and kind of play with it throughout 1.9, and then maybe we'll flip a switch and that'll be the default for people for like 2.0. The plan is still like all. I plan like everything that's currently here will stick around. This will probably be just called like BombSquad Classic Mode or something like that. So I don't really plan to like change most of the things here. That'll probably just be like a completely different mode you switch into for squads mode, where it's, you know, just a completely different set of buttons. It just like simplified, like invite friends, play next match, or, you know, something. I want to keep it like as easy to understand as possible and simple. But we'll have to see what works, so we can experiment. Okay, last question, then I'll have to stop. But power-ups to skins. So this has actually been, people have talked about this a lot. Like it's kind of a polarizing topic. Some people think that you know, it would be cool to have, you know, different powers or different whatever for different skins. My thought is, like, it's kind of nice to have everything equal right now because there's so many different varieties of games. Like if for instance there's a like a character that is maybe weaker but faster, you know, like on a race mini game, that character is just going to like dominate. Or, you know, on a certain mini game where it's just melee fighting, you know, like there's probably the buff character would dominate or whatever. So I kind of like having things equal by default, but I do think it could be fun to have like a particular mini game or a particular game mode or something like that where it did like lean into the, you know, the character strength thing. Like maybe you could pick from a handful of characters and they would each have like totally different strengths. But I think that my thought is that that would be fun to like have in specific cases where, like, you know, it's not going to like break the game. But I think like having characters always have different strengths would kind of break some of the games, like races or, you know, different things like that. Like I said, so yeah, that's currently my thought is like let's experiment with that in like limited ways, but I don't think it would be good always. Oh my god, that is awesome. Oh no, I totally want to see like a mock-up of like what BombSquad on NES would look like. You know, that is so awesome. Spoiler. Power. That's a very, very snazzy looking little ad thing here. When will 2.0 come? I've learned long ago to not give dates for things. I'm supposed to stop answering questions here, but yeah, I can't give specific dates for it. I mean, I'm just trying to like, I can show the roadmap and show the things that are left to do, but I don't know how long it'll take me to get there. I mean, I pointed out like 1.6, like 1.6 and 1.7. I think they each took like maybe a year-ish or something, somewhere in the vicinity of a year. So yeah, 1.8 hopefully will be maybe something like that. So I don't know. Sometime in the next few years, hopefully 2.0 will launch. I mean, I like to think that it'd be sooner than that, but you know, I also have to be realistic. But I don't have any set schedule. I'm just trying to get there as fast as I can. I'm also trying to like. That's why you know, it's painful, but I'm trying to like push off certain things. Like I'd love to talk more about like a Switch version or something, but it's like that would be delaying everything else too. So it's like I'll push that off till after 2.0. But yeah, so there's basically the kind of the two 1.8 and 1.9 are like the two milestones left, and within that the big pieces missing are squads and asset downloads, and so yeah, we'll just keep on trucking. And then yes, PlayStation after that. So so many things to do. And then this gets into the topic of like, oh, I should just hire people and all that, but even then that's like that's a lot of time and energy, like spinning up all the legal requirements and figuring out how to hire people and, you know, getting all that going. Like that would slow me down too. So I don't know if that would actually speed things up. And then that's also the worry of then I have to like make sure the game is profitable enough to support multiple people and whatnot. So it does kind of it adds some flexibility for me. Like I need to support myself, but like I'm you know, I have the game to where it does that pretty well. But supporting a whole team, like that's another thing. I don't want to like be in a situation where I'm forced to add, you know, like sleazy monetization stuff, like just because, you know, I have a lot of mouths to feed, so to speak. So at the moment I'm still enjoying just kind of doing it myself, and I'm very appreciative of everyone who's like submitted bug fixes and help test things and stuff too. So so yeah. Anyway, the to-do list expands again. Yes. You finished your latte. Oh yeah. Oh cool. I'm not the only one drinking coffee-based products. Nice. All right. Well, on that note, I better. We are once again over the 2 hour mark. I've been trying to keep these to like 2 hours, but last week was like 2.5 hours or something. It took so long for like YouTube to like process the video. Like I set it to. I've been setting the video to show up like the next morning because I like to give it time to hopefully like finish processing like the HD version. But last week it still wasn't done. Like the video went live and it was still only like the 360p or whatever, like the super low res version where you couldn't like read any of the text. So yeah, we might be approaching that now. It's getting over 2 hours. But anyway, been fun chatting with you all, and I will get back to fixing account stuff and all that, and I'll see you all next week. So have a